we have a big main event in the middleweight division this weekend for the UFC 287 card, Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 2. This matchup is super interesting. Both of these guys have a very long storied rivalry with each other. Alex Pereira's gotten 3-0 over Izzy. We'll see if Izzy can come back and get a win over Alex Pereira eventually. At least he hopes so. But this is a very interesting matchup. Israel Adesanya has a very good record in the UFC in the middleweight division. Alex Pereira coming in at 7-1, 6-1, and beating Israel Adesanya again, just like how he did in kickboxing, makes this one super interesting. So I'm going to be doing an in-depth breakdown in this matchup. We're going to go over the previous matchups. We're going to go over the previous fights and how I think this matchup will go. So let's get right into the breakdown. We have Israel Adesanya, 33 years old, Alex Pereira, 35. They're both 6'4". Again, this is at the 185-pound division. Obviously, Alex Pereira will be the heavier guy here. Very similar reach and very similar leg reach. So that's why this fight is super interesting as well. You never really see Israel Adesanya fight a guy with the same length as him, same hand reach, same leg reach. You never really see that in general. So this is why it's super interesting. And you also have the differences between them, like the speed in Israel Adesanya and the power of Alex Pereira. So for the previous matchups, Alex Pereira, his last matchup was a win over Israel Adesanya by KO in the 5th round. Beat Sean Strickland in the 1st round by KO. Won a decision by Bruno Silva, one of the tougher matchups for Alex Pereira in the UFC. And then did a flying knee over Andreas Michailidis. In that matchup, Israel Adesanya lost to Alex Pereira, of course, in his last matchup. Beat Jared Cannonier by decision. That one ended up being a little bit close. People thought for sure Izzy won that fight. I thought it was a little bit closer towards the end. Obviously, he did win that fight, but I think a lot of people just went to bed early, honestly. But Izzy definitely did win that fight. I just think it got a little closer towards the end. Robert Whittaker, I thought he won the second fight, but again, it was a decently close matchup, so I won't go too crazy over it, but a 49-46 scorecard I think was a little ridiculous. Marvin Vettori, he beat pretty clearly in that matchup as well. So for this matchup, actually I'm going to go into their previous matchup, their last matchup, their first matchup, and I believe, I don't even remember when this matchup even happened. Was it November of, it was the 281 card in November 12th. So for that previous matchup, that first round is a very close round from when I rewatched it like a few days ago, a week ago. First round was pretty close till the end where Israel Adesanya landed a couple good punches and rocked Alex Pereira very badly, was wobbling all over the place at the end of the round. Second round, Alex Pereira came out pretty aggressive and actually won that round. He actually won that round and was landing some really good shots similar to that 5th round where he did push him against the fence and kind of time a left hook or a right hook against the fence, as Israel Adesanya would try to circle out of the corner. In the 3rd round, Alex Pereira shoots in for a very bad takedown. Israel Adesanya reverses position, and Izzy pretty much out-grapples him for that rest of that round. Gasses out Alex Pereira quite a bit. In that 4th round, it looked like to me when I was watching the fight that Alex Pereira was kind of conserving himself. He didn't actually throw a bunch of punches to like the last minute of that round. He's actually I don't even think he even threw for like 4 minutes of that fight or of that round, and was kind of just conserving himself, kind of hoping to come out pretty hot in that 5th round and trying to get something to work, which it did work in general. So I gave Israel Adesanya that round as well. And in the 5th round, of course, is pretty much just pure dominance for Alex Pereira. He pressured him. I believe there was a leg kick that was checked and it kind of dropped Israel Adesanya, put him in a corner, hit him with a left hook, rocked Israel Adesanya very badly and finished him off there. So I don't think this is a Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards situation where is pretty much Leon Edwards wins the 1st round and it was pure dominance till that head kick, because that's pretty much what it was. Kamaru Usman was dominating that fight for 4 rounds. Of course, Leon Edwards winning the 1st, and then pretty much up until the 5th with a minute left, he landed the head kick, and obviously the 2nd or 3rd fight was differently. But I think this one was a little different. It was a closer 1st round till the end. You could argue that Alex Pereira won that round if you don't include obviously the shots that rocked him, but the shots did happen, so they did give it to Adesanya. But the 2nd round, pretty clear for Pereira, and then he was dominantly winning that 5th round too. So it was a closer fight than some people want to say. I know a lot of people say that it was similar to Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman, but I just disagree there. But for this matchup, I think this one edges a little bit to Alex Pereira with the changes that he can make to his game. He's still very new to the sport, not similar to Israel Adesanya, who you could tell, obviously, I don't know if he prepared for a wrestling grappling game last time, but he did have a kind of base there. He couldn't really do much in those grappling positions. He was kind of just holding them in the positions. But again, I think Alex Pereira is the one that can make some changes, can improve his game a little bit more on the ground and with his takedowns, because he did make a mistake in that third round by doing a really bad takedown, and it pretty much like just destroyed him for the next 2 rounds, for the third and fourth round, where he's kind of taken out of it, where he kind of had to take a little bit of some time off just to re-energize himself. So I think Alex Pereira will be a little bit smarter there. He has Glover Teixeira, who he's working with, who he did work with before, but Glover Teixeira is retired, so he doesn't have to worry about Glover Teixeira worrying about his own fights. He can fully focus on Alex Pereira. I believe Alex Pereira has like a brown belt or black belt in jiu-jitsu too, which is very interesting. Not saying that he's going to be going and looking for takedowns and trying to out-wrestle Izzy, because he is a bigger guy. His energy is going to go a little bit faster. You kind of saw that in their last matchup also, but I'm not saying he's necessarily going to be looking out for takedowns, which he possibly could. He did take him down, I believe, at the end of the second round or something like that. And then he tried to do it again in the third round. Bad takedown, got him down to the ground in a bad position. But Israel Adesanya, I assume he's probably going to be working on his wrestling a little bit more here. I do think in this fight, though, I think he's going to come out a little bit faster. I think he saw in that first round how he was able to catch Alex Pereira towards the end of that round. I think he's going to try and pressure Alex Pereira, not kind of settle in there with the leg kicks and the jabs, because honestly, I think Alex Pereira won that battle. You kind of saw that in the 5th round where Israel Adesanya fell down due to a check kick. So I think he does not want to exchange those leg kicks and jabs and use kind of that distance game a little bit more, even though it was kind of even, you could say. But I think Alex Pereira won that game in general with the leg kicks just because how powerful he is in general. But I think he doesn't want to play that game early on. I think he thinks that, okay, Alex Pereira won that leg kicking game last time. Why don't I go and pressure him first and try and get this over with, or at least try and catch him off guard? So I think Israel Adesanya is going to come out a little bit faster this next matchup. But in general, I think, of course, Alex Pereira going to make some changes. I don't even know. Okay, I think I'm going to go into how I think the rounds will go. So first round, I think Israel Adesanya goes out there and just pressures forward. I think he just comes right at him. He's like, I'm not going to worry about getting knocked out. Obviously, he's going to try and stay out of those heavier punches, but I think he's going to pressure forward, land some shots, like throw some high kicks. I think he's going to really let it go in that first round. I think he's going to hurt Alex Pereira a little bit more, wobble him a little bit more during that round. I think Alex Pereira escapes it. Not saying that he's kind of like hanging on, like, oh, he's about to get KO'd, but I do think he escapes it. I think it is a pretty dominant round for Israel Adesanya. In the second round, I think he slows down a little bit because he doesn't want to tire himself out, especially against a guy like Alex Pereira with all that power. I think he wants to slow down a little bit, conserve a little bit of energy, do a little bit more of that leg kicking battle, maybe set him up for a high kick or something like that. But I think Alex Pereira, seeing that Israel Adesanya came out pretty fast that round, will pressure, throw a lot of body shots, a lot of body kicks, leg kick. We'll mix it up and then start to pressure a little bit, push him against the fence, and see if he can get that game going like he did in that last matchup. If you have not seen my prediction and breakdown video for their last matchup, I pretty much called it pretty close to how the fight went. I said a 4th round KO for Alex Pereira, I believe. And I said that he needed to pressure Israel Adesanya, pretty much win the early rounds and get Israel Adesanya fighting towards the end, which Israel Adesanya actually did it decently. Obviously, to the 5th round, he did kind of coast a little bit more. Did like how he did with those other fights, but you can't just do that with Alex Pereira with all that length and all that power. But if you didn't see that first video, I think I broke it down pretty well. Alex Pereira needed to push him up against the fence and time one of those left or right hooks and try and hurt Israel Adesanya, which he did pretty well. A lot of people in the middleweight division should have been doing that. A lot of the rounds that those guys won, Jared Cannonier, the rounds that he won, he did that, held him up against the clinch, close out the distance. Robert Whitaker, you can kind of point to that area also. I think Alex Pereira does the same here. I think he's going to try and get him against the fence. I think Izzy, this time, my assumption is that for his game plan here, I think he is going to be working on his wrestling. I think instead of trying to maintain that distance and exit out and circle out of a corner, I think he's going to try and shoot to try and change it up a little bit. He's going to be open to some knees, but I think he's going to try and shoot, maybe mix it up on Alex Pereira, keep him guessing. So I think that's what he's going to try and do here, implement a game plan where he tries to shoot him for a takedown, kind of get, even if it doesn't work, just try and get Alex Pereira thinking that maybe a takedown might happen and that he needs to be worried about that, so it's not as dangerous against the corners for when Alex Pereira pressures up and tries to land some of those shots that could hurt Israel Adesanya, like the second round or 5th round in their last fight. But I think In the second round, Alex Pereira wins that fight. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I think he does land the better shots, though. Body shots and left hook, right hook. I think he just lands better shots. I don't think he gets taken down. He did a really good job defending the takedowns in their last fight. Had really good hip position when Israel Adesanya tried to go for takedowns in that matchup. But again, it kind of just went more towards the grappling positions where Alex Pereira kind of struggled a little bit more against Israel Adesanya. So in the third round, I think the fight ends. I agree. I saw something from Henry Cejudo saying that this one's going to be a little bit more definitive. I agree. I think someone's going to get finished. If this, I don't know if this fight goes to a decision. It's either going to be a dominant decision, which I don't think will happen. I think someone gets finished. I think in the third round, Alex Pereira goes forward. I think he pressures. Even in that last fight, after he got hurt in that first round, he kind of just went forward. Like, he wasn't scared. He just went after Izzy, which I thought he did a really good job of. He was like, screw that. I'm not getting knocked out by this dude. Let's go. Like, I'm not scared of you. Kind of just went forward. I think he does the same thing. Goes forward, goes after Izzy. I think he lands a left hook. Hurts Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya shoots in for a messy takedown. Brawls, gets the underhook. Trips Israel Adesanya on the ground. Gets into side control. Lands some really good shots. And either from there, I think Israel Adesanya tries to turn over to get up. And he puts hooks in and tries to submit him, which I think would be very interesting, or land some ground and pound. But I think Alex Pereira does finish him on the ground there. I think it's a very risky prediction to have. But I think if he does get him on the ground in that third round, where he is able to counter Israel Adesanya and put him to the ground and trip him after a bad takedown after hurting him, I think he gets on the ground and lands some good shots. My voice is starting to fall away if you can't hear it, but gets him on the ground, lands some really good shots on the ground, and finishes Izzy there. I think he wins by a third round KO, TKO. I think he kind of puts Israel Adesanya out a little bit more. I don't want to say out cold. I think he gets hurt enough to where he's like, he still doesn't know where he's kind of at. But I think he does win that fight by KO. I have Alex Pereira by KO in that third round. Maybe a submission. I don't know why. I have this weird feeling that I'm just going to put a little bit of money on submission for Alex Pereira. He does have some good jiu-jitsu. I'm assuming he's working on it with Glover. So I'm going to put a little bit of money on that personally, but I don't think it's going to happen, but just in case. But I think that Alex Pereira is just going to be better. I think he's just going to have more improvements mentally going into that fight. I think he's just going to be better than Israel Adesanya. This is all or nothing for Israel Adesanya. I guess this kind of impacts his legacy too. If you lose twice to Alex Pereira, negatively impacts your legacy for sure. And I think for Israel Adesanya, if he does lose this, he probably has to take a year off and like wait for this division to reshuffle, because he can't fight Alex Pereira again if he loses twice. So I am going to go with Alex Pereira. TKO, KO win, however it goes, however they say it is, but I think he gets it done in the third round on the ground. Izzy shoots in for a bad takedown, but that's what I have. I think he's just going to be able to outmuscle him and trip him. So this is what I have here. Let me know who you guys think wins in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.